It's been 2 days since my last video when I did my sound deadening upgrade and speaker upgrade on my Subaru Forester, and I have one more package that has come finally. So this stuff here is soundproofing, or more specifically it is insulation, which is going to provide sound insulation as well as temperature insulation as well. So it should technically help with my vehicle staying warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer when I have the AC on or the fans blowing heat. But yeah, so this stuff here is same company, it's Noico, but it is Noico Red, which is more of like I think it's like butyl or some type of polymer material, but it is a kind of foam, plasticky foam type stuff, which is waterproof, but the main thing that it is it's going to absorb sound and help insulate as well. So this stuff is meant to be put on top of that sound deadening, that aluminum sound deadening that I put on, which that sound deadening helps prevent vibrations and that in the vehicle. So when a vehicle like mine, a Subaru Forester, it really helps reduce the noise quite a bit. So you noticed, potentially if you watched my last video, and if not, I'll just tell you, it reduced the road noise quite a bit. This stuff here you add on top of it. It's a foam, it sticks right to the aluminum, and then you get dramatically improved acoustics even further. And like I said, temperature. So I decided to also order this. It was like $10. It's the Noico roller. You're supposed to use it on the aluminum stuff, the sound deadening. I found that I didn't really need it because I have really good gloves and I was just pressing, but I'm sure there's air bubbles in there that will reduce the ability of that stuff to work. So I decided to get this. It's just a metal roller. You can roll over. I'm sure there's videos you can see this. And just get those air bubbles out. So I'm going to use this, since I'm going to have the car already open, to install this. I'll just give that stuff a once over. So I decided to get two different ones. There's the Noico, let's see which one's, 150, which is a larger area, but it's thinner. 150 mil, I'm not sure what that means, but it's about probably about 4 or 5 millimeters thick. I don't know what that is for Imperial, but yeah, so this stuff's going to be great. This is going to be primarily for my trunk and some of the auxiliary areas. It's not quite as thick, but there's more of it. And this one was around 60 Canadian. I believe it was 60 Canadian for that. And then this is the thicker stuff, the Noico Red 315. So you'll notice it's less area, so it's almost half, maybe 2/3. So you get 20 square feet, which should be enough to do my doors, in theory. Okay, so here we go. Here's the rolly thing. I don't really have a way to do this, but you basically just give it a nice firm little press, and you can see it makes those little indents. But you want to give it a nice firm roll over, just to make sure there's no air bubbles in there. So I'm going to do this over everywhere, and then I'm going to apply the other stuff on top. But you can see like there was a little corner there that wasn't perfect. There's only so much force you can get with your hands, even if you're wearing gloves. I can already see, some of the little nooks. It's that some areas you can't get down into. I can't get down into there with this thing, so the finger will have to have been enough. But for $10 Canadian, $10, not a big deal. So yeah, I'll do that and then I'll install the red. Okay, so here's the first sheet of the red stuff. I don't know why it's called red. It's not red, but maybe this adhesive is red. It's got a little bit of a red color. Anyways, this is probably, it's almost a centimeter, probably 8 millimeters. About 8 millimeters, and then the other stuff is half, basically. You can almost see where it's bonded. So the other stuff will be, I guess, 4 millimeters or so, or 3 millimeters, whatever that would be. Yeah, so basically it comes in these little panels. They're not going to fit perfectly. If you're doing a roof or something, you could just lay these out really, really nice. I'm going to have to cut them, obviously. They look like they'll cut pretty easily. But with this one, I'm going to try to get as much coverage as I can inside the doors, rather than, kind of do a piecemeal. So I'm going to try to measure this out as well as I can. Might have to use a piece of cardboard to trace it out. And then trace out the shape that I want and then stick it in with one go, rather than trying to, chip away at it. Because I believe with this one, you want more coverage. It's not about reverb or vibration in the vehicle. You actually want coverage. So I'm going to try to get these as close as I can to full coverage inside. It's going to stick to the metal stuff. Might go a little bit over, but it is what it is. Here's the behind the speaker. By the way, in my previous video, I maintained this little harness, and that's a godsend because you could just pop that in, pop that out. You can see that's a pretty good job. I had to cut 2 pieces because it wasn't quite big enough. So I put a little sliver in there. This piece here is still missing, but I'm gonna have to go through either this little portal here, or more likely I'll just go through this big spot here and stick it up in there. But yeah, it's this is easier to apply than the other stuff. I mean, they're both pretty easy to apply, but this stuff, you just stick it in and then it adheres to that aluminum because it's a nice perfect surface. Even just go over with your hand and it's very, very snug onto that aluminum material. So there you go. Okay, and there we go. Someone has their noisy engine here, but almost perfect coverage. There's a couple spots that aren't perfect, but like that little cube down there. But yeah, this stuff's, when you have the aluminum sound deadening on, it's a lot easier to get this stuff on. Like it just kind of sticks to it. You just have to be careful because it really wants to adhere to that aluminum stuff. But there you go. Okay, I just finished the doors. It's about 95% coverage. There's a couple little spots I couldn't really get to, and there's 4 sheets left. So that's a mid-size SUV. I think 1 box of this 315 would be enough to do your doors, which is great. I actually have a little bit more than I anticipated. So this stuff will go in my trunk. And then I probably didn't need the big box. They come in 2 sizes, not just widths, but there's 2 like square foot, square meter coverage of these and the thinner ones. So I probably could have got the big one of this and then just got a second half box of this, or a half box of that, whatever. Because I'm definitely not gonna need all of that. I'm gonna keep it though, because eventually I may do my roof, in which case I will use all of that. I'll probably put the thin stuff in the roof. So this is gonna be what I start with in the trunk, and then whatever's left over, I will cover with that. And then a little bit of the wheel wells, and then I'm sure I'll have 3/4 of a box of the thin stuff left. I decided to add a little bit more to the trunk. Before I had this area done, but I decided to take the tire out because I'm amazed at how much of a difference it makes. Before, when I hit this, it sounded like a drum. Like now it's just knocking on metal. But before it would reverberate like extremely loud in the cabin here. So I decided, you know what, I'll put some on here. And I should have taken a recording before. I just got distracted, overexcited, but it's silent now. Maybe a little piece there, but I'm done now. This is enough. You know, it doesn't have to be perfectly covered. The soundproofing, the sound insulation will be much more distributed. I'm gonna try to get almost perfect coverage. Not quite, but as best as I can. But this is more than enough for preventing the sound deadening, to prevent the rattling and the vibration. So really, really, really impressed with this. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how to install one of these. You know, I have the aluminum sound deadener already installed. I cut this piece a little bit. There we go. Cut this piece a little bit. You could probably trim these around the angles, but just press it in. This thing's actually useful. This metal thingy, the roller. I don't know if it's, you know, you don't need it for this, but yeah, let's see if I can see that. Go from the center to get any air bubbles out. It's amazingly quiet in the trunk already. It was so noisy when I started. Anyways, yeah. And there you go. Easy peasy. You want to fill in as much as you can, obviously, with this stuff. That's the end of my thicker material. There's a couple thicker sheets here where it's probably going to get the most noise. And then I'm starting to use the thinner stuff now, so it looks like I will actually need it. All right, we're getting there. Almost full coverage. A little bit overlap spots and some little gaps, but I'm gonna actually lay a piece over those because I have loads of extra, so why not? Okay, so I got it all finished. I didn't end up doing the wheel wells over here with the insulation. I did the doors. I did the entire trunk. So the entire trunk bed, all of it. And then I actually took off the back panel and I did a little bit of the hatch. It was very difficult to get in there, so I put some on the interior side of it, which will help a bit with the reverb. And then I put that is the deadening. And then I put some in the deadener inside the door, but I could barely get my hands into it. They were like 3 inches, 4 inches across some of those holes, just tiny little things. So I got a little bit in there, but not a lot. So yeah, the sound deadener is on a lot of the car except the floor and the roof, basically. The insulation is in the doors and the trunk bed primarily. So it's actually doing a good job already. It's really noisy in this parking garage. Right, and then it's already quite a bit quieter. But I'm going to test out the road noise and see what's up. But I mean, it's not going to be absolute night and day because I've already made quite a big difference with the deadener. But I feel like already the insulation has made quite a big difference. Now, one thing I will notice, I can't test here because I'm in the parking garage, but when I had my music on and then I closed my doors, it was silent outside of the car, absolutely silent. So when I get outside, I don't want to do it in here because it'll annoy people. But when I get outside, I'm going to turn up the music, close the doors, you'll be able to see that difference. Already, what a difference. The last couple of days I drove over this. This is a very bumpy area. It's kind of like a parking lot. It's all messed up. I can feel the bumps, but it's very quiet. Substantially quieter. Yeah, it's like that was a huge bump. Again, with the aggressive suspension, but night and day difference. So I'm just going to drive up here into this little parking lot here and I'll do the sound test. I don't want to disturb people in their houses. I'm that kind of guy. So I'll just turn up the volume and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so we'll turn this up. Sounds like a decent enough. So very extremely loud inside, obviously. Very quiet. You can hear it, it's there, but there's no rattling in the doors at all. Absolutely none. Almost completely silent. And that's pretty loud inside. Like that's probably the loudest I listen to my music. So if I was outside someone's house here with this on at night, they wouldn't be able to hear it. And before you could hear it, it was so easy. It was just blast. Listen to that. Incredible. So in conclusion, I mean, what did I spend? $100 on the deadener, $100 on the insulation. I didn't even use all the insulation. I used the thick stuff, and then I used about 1/3 of the thin stuff. So I have quite a bit left. I could have got away with the smaller box of that stuff. I mean, it's fine. It's always good to have more sound deadener, or sound insulation. I can use it on something else. It's already warmer in my car too. Like it's quite hot in here. I used to find that if my car wasn't just cranked, it would get freezing in here because it was basically just plastic, thin sheet metal, and then outdoors. And so I don't know why I didn't do this before. It makes a dramatic difference in terms of temperature. I mean, at least for cold. I'm sure it'll do the same in the summer when I crank the AC. So I mean, $200, we have basically revolutionized the noise level in this vehicle in terms of just rattling, road noise, driving. It's sealed, so the acoustics in the car are way better. There's significantly less sound leak outside, so I don't irritate people. I like loud music, but I don't like bothering people. It's not my thing, so it's really nice to be able to have my music loud and not piss people off outside my vehicle. That's one of the reasons I don't have a subwoofer anymore, because it's annoying. But the bass here, the bass response is incredible. Having all that soundproofing and sound deadening, the bass is dramatically improved, whereas before it was just rattly and pitchy. Now, also consider that I put in those speakers. Again, only $100 and dramatic difference. So for $300, I mean, I put in the stereo. I had an older one before I put this in the summer for whatever it cost. But I mean, that's it. This Sony stereo and a couple sets of $100 speakers and $200 worth of sound deadening. So what is that, $600, $500? And I basically revolutionized my vehicle. So highly recommended. Okay, so here we go. I'm on the road now. Very, very windy outside. But yeah, sounds pretty good.